morning and welcome. This is week 6 of 2024. Notable events, weather and sports. We'll start off with this week's top story.
Hello, you're listening to Hugo Talk. So here we see King Charles. He has been diagnosed with cancer, so we are told by the fake stream media, and we are told this was discovered after a prostate reduction operation. And of course, this has led to much discussion about maybe Charles now possibly abdicating and William taking over as king. Oh, the gossip. As if this is important. I mean, as if these counterfeit kings and their accruing of wealth and greed and their material excess and jewels and parading up and down waving, as if this should be relevant to any one of us, when in reality all that they stand for is completely meaningless. Their power is just castles that are built upon sand. They wear crowns of jewels stolen from countries across the world, while the true King of Kings, he wore a crown of thorns.
Time for some wild speculation.
So guys, you can't make this up. Apparently, King Charles has got cancer, right? Considering nobody in the royal family ever gets cancer. And it just so happens to be just before they release a new jab that apparently cures, or they're hoping will cure cancer. And this is after everyone has got turbo cancers from the jab, because that is one of the things that is going on, as well as all the heart problems and everything like that. So you can see where this is going, can't you? King Charles is going to get cured, quote unquote, from the cancer jab, and everyone that got turbo cancers from COVID is going to take the cancer jab, and it's going to finish them off. So I don't know how long this video will be up, but clown world.
Some are calling it the culling of the sheep. The first UK patient has received a revolutionary cancer vaccine as part of a global trial. Yeah, they work. Scientists are using the mRNA technology behind COVID jabs to create a new vaccine that could treat and even cure cancer. Woo! AI to replace teenage narcissism. Model Emily amassing 137,000 followers in 4 months is a digital creation, not a real person. AI, formed by a neurological network as the average man's dream girl.
And I met you in the summer.
I like my girls to be real. She's a virtual Instagram hit, earning 10 grand a month and attracting billions of suitors. Madness. Highlighting the era of digital illusion. Soon most people on the internet will be NPCs. Think we're already there? The world's going mad. I don't usually worry about things. This worries me. A commentator said. The European Parliament is a joke.
There's a comedian in Germany, and he just was memeingly trying to win the European election, and he won. He got a seat in the European Parliament, and he made a video where he shows the daily life of a politician in Brussels. It's the biggest joke you'll ever see. He has a fully paid car, he has an office, and he shows every morning he goes to the Parliament, and he has to make a signature that he was in there, and then he just leaves. And then he just goes out, he collects $10,000 from European taxpayers, and he just does whatever. And he says, he looks at his colleagues, the real politicians, and what they do is they do the signature in the morning, right? They don't look at the meetings. They go to the building next door, and the building next door is the lobby building. Siemens, BMW, VW, all the big companies are literally in the next building. He was filming it. He's filming outside his office. The lobby is right across the street.
Might as well have a burn down the EU Parliament building in Brussels.
Quand on est arrivé à minuit, ça pouvait durer ici.
Vous êtes resté toute la nuit ici?
Oui, on y va au milieu.
Ah, bravo.
On avait avancé la remorque.
Et vous venez d'où?
Palestine. Ouais, 5 heures de route.
It was remarked as under siege. Where's the catapults? The Irish farmers are standing up to the mark.
Unbelievable. Great scenes here in Dublin. The people fully support the agriculture sector. These are the backbone of the Irish economy. No farming equals no food. It's as simple as that. Really, look at that. Clearly here all the support. Look at that. As far as the eye can see.
Countries that have now joined the farmers' protest. The Netherlands started it, the Scottish are getting on board, Germany, France, Poland, Belgium, Lithuania, Romania, Greece, Italy. Come on, England, where are you? All of Europe is saying no to the climate agenda. Yep, because it makes no sense. French truck drivers are getting on board and dumping foreign goods.
Le son nom, il y a des tomates de partout, des bouteilles de vin, des bouteilles de champagne, tout en train de se vider complètement. Quand donc de ce rond-point, donc le rond-point à proximité du péage de Gargue, direction Nîmes.
Good on them, I say, in my little way. If you can remember the financial crash in 2008, people took to the street and marched on Wall Street and shut down the stock exchange. If you skip forward 10 years, on exactly the same day as the protest, there was a parade for LGBTQ parade on exactly the same day 10 years ago. So what they've done, everyone was unhappy with the bankers, so they funded these social groups to get people, instead of taking on the bankers.
Go track how many times the word
The Coin Bureau has a look at the World Economic Forum Davos 2024. See what they're focusing on this year.
Last week, the world's elite and other so-called stakeholders gathered in the normally sleepy Swiss town of Davos to plan the future, without input from us plebs, at the World Economic Forum's now infamous annual conference. He said that the purpose of the WEF's various programs is to drive global transformation, and acknowledged that this transformation will be disruptive to the average person. I don't remember voting for these programs, by the way. Do you? Anyway, on that note, Klaus underscored the fact that the risks are, quote, centred on the individual and national level. In other words, the interests of individuals and countries are causing issues for the WEF's programs. He said this is a problem because, quote, we are responsible for advancing the world. Newsflash, when he says we, he doesn't mean you and me. He means the stakeholders at the WEF. One of these was a press conference panel where Kathy Lee, the head of the WEF's Centre for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, announced that the WEF is building an AI that will align and enforce the UN's aforementioned SDGs. The panelists revealed that they want to use it to address crises too. FYI, the SDGs include things like the creation of digital IDs, smart cities, and central bank digital currencies, all objectively dystopian technologies that we've explained at length in previous videos. As a cherry on top, one of the panel used by only a few, and only in the name of the WEF's version of the greater good. For reference, the WEF famously predicted that we will all own nothing and be happy by 2030. That is their greater good. She revealed that there are also efforts to reform the WTO. You'll recall that the WEF is also pushing to reform the UN, at least according to the Swiss president. Unfortunately, it's not entirely clear what these reforms entail. Fortunately, though, the panelists revealed that there will be a big announcement about it in Abu Dhabi in late February, so keep your eyes and ears peeled. And this brings us to what we believe were the three most important discussions at this year's Davos conference. All three were related to something that's going to be front and centre for the rest of the year, and that's freedom of speech, or rather, the lack thereof, ahead of many major national elections. In case you haven't noticed, governments around the world have been justifying their online censorship in the name of safety, protecting the vulnerable. Lo and behold, one of the panel discussions at the WEF was titled, quote, Protecting the Vulnerable Online. What was said was nothing short of insane. As expected, the moderator began by citing the WEF's Global Risks Report, which you'll recall had misinformation and disinformation at the top of the list. The moderator said these risks will grow because of AI and that the only solution to protecting the vulnerable is international regulations. Now, if you thought that this just applied to protecting children online, like the description of the event says, you'd be dead wrong. A few minutes later, Maurice Levy, the chairman of Publicis Group, a French advertising agency, said that everyone on the internet is vulnerable, even those who just use email. He seemed to take issue with the fact that the US Constitution would prevent EU-style online regulations from being implemented globally. I'll remind you that these involve giving EU governments the power to control what you see online in the event of a crisis, or even just the possibility of a crisis, indefinitely. Now, if you thought all that was insane, consider this. Julie Grant, who heads the Australian government's e-safety department, revealed that she's in the process of putting together a, quote, global online safety regulators network, which will seek to impose EU-style online censorship regulations around the world. Meanwhile, Maurice bragged about pressuring advertisers to pull funding from social media companies, such as X, that refuse to fall in line with these censorship laws. Maurice also squeezed in another dystopian soundbite. He wants everyone online to be a safe box. Did you hear anything about actually protecting vulnerable people online in all of this? Nope, neither did we. Now this ties into the second censorship-related panel discussion, which was titled, quote, Where is freedom of expression going? The short answer is that it's not going to a place any of us want it to go to. Then came the panel discussion, where Belarusian politician Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya said that people in her country can't say how they truly feel without getting in trouble with the government. What's fascinating is that the description of the WEF's video about the discussion notes Sviatlana as being the president-elect of Belarus, implying she's about to become president. This is fascinating given that Belarus will be having elections at the end of February. Does the WEF know something we don't?
A conversation with Jeremy Neal.
We live, I've said this many times, but we live in an inversion of the world. This is like inverted version of what the world should be like, this matrix that I referred to, because that's how they have psychologically damaged us so badly, is by turning everything in its head. And you mentioned earlier, what is a woman? I mean, even to that degree of lunacy, right? But this goes to show how much they've tried to psychologically damage us, because you need to debilitate the enemy before the final attack. And the last 50, 60 years have been just that, a slow but constant erosion at everything that gives people purpose, meaning, and strength, whether it's the nuclear family, whether it's a solid education, whether it's a spiritual grounding. We've seen the streets flooded with drugs and alcoholism. We've seen deprivation. We've seen promiscuity. We've seen porn coming out of our ears. Everything that really destabilizes a human being. And they've done it from a younger and younger and younger age, to the point that we're now seeing the hypersexualization of kids. This is all to get us to such a weak psychological position, that when they come very soon now with this whole push of AI, transhumanism, et cetera, people don't even know whether they're Arthur or Martha. So, if you don't know whether you identify with a man or a woman, well, they come to you saying, well, do you want to be a cyborg? And they might say, yeah, why not, right? I've lost everything. I don't know who I am. And this is going back to what I was saying earlier, how important it is for us to ask these fundamental questions. Who are we? Why are we here? Where do we come from? The minute you start answering those questions, you become quite invincible. Really, you do.
The modern day psycho?
I awake to a cacophony of notification sounds from the various social media platforms of which I am a member. Reddit reports the day's left-wing propaganda. Twitter, the rights. Tinder reminds me I have a date this Wednesday with a woman I have never met. OnlyFans alerts me to the fact that my subscription is run out, and Instagram informs me that Debbie Benson's dog has died. Good, I think to myself. I always hated that bitch. Debbie, I mean. The dog I was always ambivalent towards. Facebook doesn't notify me of anything, because I deleted my account once the ratio of boomers on the platform reached critical mass. Not that I have a problem with boomers per se, it's just that I must be at least seen as hating them because generational tribalism is very much in vogue. After consuming 5 times the daily recommended intake of soy during my breakfast cereal, I make my way to the local Starbucks cafe for my daily caramel frappuccino. Once I reach the front of the unnecessarily long queue, I am served by a non-gender conforming staff member whose various anti-racism and anti-sexism iconography juxtapose nicely with her unbridled hatred of me for the color of my skin and the XY chromosome configuration of my DNA. I didn't realize blue whales could survive outside of water, I think to myself. I'll have my usual, I say in a tone so friendly that it borders on passive-aggressive. Oh, and I'll have it, skinny, I continue, making sure that I look her dead in the eye when I say the word skinny. After failing to jump on the property ladder at the age of 11, my only remaining hope of financial freedom is investing in various crypto schemes and NFTs. A moment of sheer panic as I realize my NFT portfolio has lost 99.7% of its worth in 2 days. Who would have thought that an asset with an infinite supply would lose value like that? To take my mind off of the day's financial losses, I play GTA 5 online with some of my fellow crypto entrepreneurs that I met in the Hustlers University Discord group. The dopamine release I get when I murder people virtually is only exceeded when I murder people non-virtually. After getting banned from the murder simulator for using too many bad words, I check my phone to see that the remaining 0.3% of my NFT portfolio's value has been decimated. I scroll through social media in bed before I sleep. The blue light ages my skin and interferes with my circadian rhythm, but the nihilism that I have internalized reminds me that nothing really matters anyway, thus allowing me to rationalize these objectively bad lifestyle choices. In those precious few moments between putting my phone down and falling asleep, I am finally left alone with my thoughts. Sometimes my mind will wander to the times before society became cringe. When people would hate each other based on their personalities, not their various tribal identities. When color-dyed hair indicated an interest in skateboarding, not a mental illness. And just as I begin to hope that this world may one day be possible again, I awake to a cacophony of notification sounds from the various social media platforms of which I am a member.
A look at the clips. April the 8th, 2024. and the exit makes over the US. Historically, it's not a good sign for the country these eclipses goes over. So that's one to look out for. The August 2017 one, what happened to go the wrong direction on the globe, but we'll just ignore that. But Israel are at it again.
Have you heard of Hamas.com?
No.
It's a new website. Apparently, the propaganda about it is it's the official website of Hamas, right? Hamas.com. It was promoted by Israel and it was launched by Israel, the government, right?
Yeah, because who in Palestine is going to build web design? You know what I mean? In the middle of all of this.
Yeah. And Hamas will never actually do this because the domain of Hamas.com was actually purchased through Wix, and Wix is an Israeli company.
Is it?
Yeah. And they got caught like that quick. It was just, it's from Wix.com. Hamas.com was generated through Wix.com. And they immediately put them through virus checkers like American people. And they found malicious, suspicious malware and phishing detected from this website. They can literally extract information from you if you go to Hamas.com. So for everybody watching this, do not go visit Hamas.com unless you actually have a hacking laptop that you know you'll be safe.
Yeah.
But the most messed up part about it is the official Twitter account of Israel.
Yeah.
Put that link as a tweet. They want people to press it. They want people to press it. They promoted the link on their official Twitter page.
I've never seen so much propaganda in an age where information is free and at everybody's fingertips.
Some old bones talk about the capability of electromagnetic frequencies.
If they want to experiment on you, by the thousands they will. And you can be driven to insanity and death, and you just become a tick in a box.
So if you're a target, there's virtually nothing you can do.
Hyper game theory. How do you, they want to see if they can manipulate people to do things that are irrational, but also walk them to their death. And so you can call it a eugenics program even. And they need to sample all cultures, language throughout the world to define their probability matrices of which tricks, techniques, deception works.
Real-life experiment where I was the subject of a prototype device designed to project images into the mind without electrodes.
The government, the English government, has been lying to the people. And the American government, the Canadian, the Australian, they have been lying. They have been lying to protect industry, protect their profits, to protect themselves from lawsuits.
Well, now it's the Human Mind Project, the Global Brain Project. You know, President Obama just recently funded a whole bunch of scientists to decipher the mind. Well, our previous president, same thing, George Bush, said the same thing. They're trying to decipher every possible thought and uniqueness due to culture and language. So researchers at the University of California, Berkeley have invented a brain decoder device that's able to work out what you're thinking based on neural activity inside of the brain. Now, they use mostly what's called functional MRIs. But you could use any of these technologies I talked about.
Mark Steele with Jordan Pickford. He's called Michael apparently.
Here today, back at the Durham Crown Course, where you had a trial day today, but with there's a bit of ointment, bit of fly in the ointment, in relation to our plea, which would be Section 3 of the criminal justice system, self-defence, and that's due to the fact that there's prima facie evidence that shows that Durham Constabulary are party to a criminal conspiracy to commit mass murder, namely the injection of a biochemical weapon, the deployment of a fifth generation weapon system. Michael, unfortunately, publicly was out in the local authority and the police. Obviously they've taken it upon themselves to arrest him trumped up charge of harassment, etc. We're playing this out today. Now, we've got all the prima facie evidence to say what we're saying is correct. What we've found is the public defender's office look as if they don't want to run and want to pervert the course of justice and don't want to run the actual evidence, right, that we have. Not only is it a matter of fact, they can't cover up the body count. The body count in Durham now is catastrophic. I had 8 people drop down dead on Christmas Day. Isn't that correct?
Yep, that's correct too. 2022. It was a failed investigation by Durham Constabulary. Obviously that means that they're not police officers, they can't possibly be because they've just breached the oath of office. There's like obviously they're under oath to protect and obviously they're not protecting, so obviously it's down to us to test the law to get the facts out for so we can prevail people. Come on, like I say, I mean, like
these lads, Michael Humble, a hero, local hero, right, who's been attacked, been arrested several times, attacked by the police, stripped off in the fabricated evidence that the CPS are trying to bring into this case. We'll find out what happens today because they took us in, they've actually stopped the case today to have a meeting because they now know we're not going to give up, right? We're going to fight on and we're going to bring this absolute evil, corrupted local authority, criminals and the police chief constable who know about this information and are hiding it from the general public and their own officers. Their own officers have been injected with SV40, a cancer-causing bioweapon that was developed by the CIA. That's how bad it is, and any idiot who doesn't believe that, we've got all the evidence to prove that that is the case. Right, we'll see you later and tell you how we'll get on.
The Pin India Challenge. Drop the Street View pin in India and try not to find a pile of garbage. Let's have a go. Good for a laugh. Google Mail. No, not Google. Google Maps. Boom. Over T-side. Zoom right out. India. Get the little dude. Do 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 do. Bing. Oh, there's some trash. We'll try it again. Where do we go? That was like to the left. Go to the right. Is that Bangladesh? We'll go here. Oh, it's dusty. Ah, there's no trash here. Here we got one. 50-50. At the bottom. Bing. Rubber. Well. We'll do one at the north. What's the north like? North. Ooh, not too far there, mate. That's nowhere near. Where is this? Where's the... Bing. That's my centre. Quite blurry. Yeah, there's no... If can you not go that way? Oh yeah. Rubble. There's lots of rubble around. Is rubble like trash? But thanks for watching and enjoy. Bye.